Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome into the PHNX Rising postgame show brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to leave us a 5-star review. My name is Ramon Chavez, and coming in from Hartford, Connecticut, it's Mr. Owen himself. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm quite glad because I was worried that I was going to be doing this in the rain. Thankfully, the weather did hold off for the entirety of the game and still is now. And I'm sure I'm jinxing myself. And before we finished here, it's going to start absolutely bucketing it down. But not the way it's been looking. So I'm hopeful that it'll stay dry at least.
No, yeah, that's what I was worried about because I saw kind of a little bit of the pregame show, and then I was like, I see some clouds there. Hopefully, it doesn't start pouring on Owen over there because there's certainly not a roof near the pitch. So yeah,
It was heavy. It was very heavy earlier. Before, like this afternoon, it was very bad here. There was lightning as well. But
Oof.
yeah, it's.
Well, the heavens knew that.
It's robbed me. It's robbed me of the ability to say that they weathered 2 storms because it wasn't stormy tonight.
There you go. There you go. Well, I think the heavens won Rising side today because they opened up and they allowed the 2-1 victory today. If you guys missed the game today, Rising was able to get come from behind victory over Hartford at Hartford. So definitely a great game if you tuned in. Rising basically took care of business in less than 5 minutes, I would say, after going down 1-0. And yeah, let's just jump right into it, Owen. Actually, before we do that, I do want to shout out everybody on the chat, especially Tyler, who likes to get on at 5 p.m. when the game's still going on. But I always love seeing you there. Devin checking in from Dublin. Thank you so much for checking this out, Devin. I always appreciate that. Nolan, Alex, everybody in the chat, Pat, everybody over here, Emilio. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, Owen. The game didn't get off to a great start. The first 25 minutes were pretty rough for Rising. I put it on Twitter. It's the Prince Sadie revenge game. So, and it looked pretty much to be that until after the 25th minute. So walk us through those first 25 minutes. What happened? What were you seeing there near the game?
It wasn't great at all, was it? I think there was just a lot of, and I asked, and it went throughout the entire game, right? Rick was quite clear on that. There were still things to work on. They weren't really as good in the final third as they should have been at all. And that's definitely what we're seeing at that point, but also the fact that just there were, I think, little hiccups. There were things that early doors, especially when you got guys like Kev Lambert, James Musa, they're both coming out from injury. You got 2 centre-backs coming out from injury. You have Joey Calistri, who, we say he's the utility man, and he is, but that's the thing. He just does a serviceable job in some of these positions, but I don't know. Kev afterwards put some of it down to just communication, little issues like that. But yeah, it wasn't the best all throughout, was it? There were times when it was just perhaps a little bit meh.
Yeah, no, and Pat with the great comment here. Fortunate not to be down to 10 early. Pro ref being inept out for once, but yeah, it looked, and what he was referring to is Prince Sadie was basically just getting balls over the top, beating Rising defenders. There was one situation where I think it was a Luis Seijas free kick where nobody went after the ball, and Prince Sadie with his speed just took the ball and almost scored if it wasn't for Calistri. It looked like a pretty clear foul to me, but the ref said, just to continue playing. But if it went the other way, probably Rising down a man, down 1-0, it just wouldn't be good if they started the game that way. How did you see that play on the field?
Well, you have to bear in mind, okay, I'm looking at it I don't have the benefit of all of the replays and all of that.
Yeah.
I have question marks over whether it was inside the area again, just from what I've seen.
Yeah.
You guys have probably seen a better way. It's close. I do think that even if it was given, I don't think they go down to 10. If it's a penalty given, I think that the referee says that there's a play on the ball there still, and goes with the yellow instead.
Hmm.
which for anyone who isn't aware, we get into the laws of the game with that. If the denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity occurs inside the penalty area and it's a genuine attempt to play the ball, then only a yellow card is given because the penalty is effectively making up for the goal scoring opportunity that was lost.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. The word from Rick was if it was given, then that's those kind of things weren't being given all game. There were a lot of
Hmm.
very hard challenges going in.
It was
Um,
physical, yeah, for
it
sure.
was a physical game, very physical game, and Arturo. There was no word when we got out after that match then as to how long Arturo could be out after this one.
Yeah.
That's going to have to go down to the medical stuff and evaluate a bit longer. But look, overall, I mean, you know what? We're talking about the first 25 minutes when Rising falling behind ultimately. And I asked Rick if, what had happened with previous games, if that was
Hmm.
something that was on his mind, and was he worried almost that it was another here we go again? And he said, yeah, a little bit, because they have been leaking goals in previous games. At the same time, you've got, he put it down to look, it's a confidence thing sometimes, and just
Hmm.
when you've struggled for a few games and then you get then the opportunity, you go behind again, it can really hit you. And ultimately, no, they battled it out. They played a much grittier, remainder of the game, and ultimately got the goals that they got because I mean, Kev was just good in the air and Greg was just being Greg. Let's be honest. That's what Greg is doing at this point in time.
Yeah, for
Stuff
sure.
like that. But you know what? Since we're talking actually about Rick and what Rick has said, I think we should probably toss it over because I do have the video in there from Rick's first thoughts after the game. So let's go ahead and check that out.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm really happy for our fans that we got 3 points. And Kev, going to Jamaica, the national team, I'm so proud of him. And I don't think anybody realizes how, for him to get back from his injury and what he had to do to play tonight was very, very difficult. He told me before the game he thought he could do 45. I begged him for 60, and then I prayed for a little bit more. And Santi was the same way. Um, we got a lot of work still to do. Our performance wasn't very good, but they gutted it out. They did what they had to do. We still made way too many mistakes, and we got lucky a little bit. But right now, I think that we need a little luck on our side and continue to get healthy and continue to get more organized. I think the front line in our pressing and our organization was not connected very well. But the adjustment at halftime was okay. It was nice to see Kev get on the score sheet as well. And then Greg Hurst do what Greg does all the time.
Was that Calistri screaming on the back?
There were lots of them screaming in the back throughout the whole thing. So I mean, that's for you to work out, I guess. But there was look, the boys are happy about this when they're happy about the result because at the end of the day, when you've been struggling in the way that they have been, it's big to get a win. Again, it's the confidence thing. It's about the fact that they come here, won a game that perhaps in some ways they shouldn't have. I know the XG figure was being thrown around in the press box earlier, and Hartford actually had a higher XG than Rising.
Yeah.
Expected goals, for those of you who don't know, which is a statistic kind of calculated based on how many goals ultimately your chances should result in. If you presume what the chance of each goal is. So I don't know. It was far from Rising's best performance overall. Let's be totally honest. But hey, a win's a win. A win's a win.
Yeah, for sure. Very, very key 3 points. It actually catapults Rising to the third spot in the West. I know there's some teams like Colorado that haven't played that, but we'll take that W, and that climb up the rankings. Owen, let's take a quick look at the numbers here for today's games. If you look at them, 2-1, of course, Rising get that W. Possession about, a little bit even. I know towards the end of the game, Hartford just took control of of more possession. And then when you look at the shots, 24 shots for Rising, 19 for Hartford, and then shots on target 8 for Rising, and only 5 for Hartford. So you talk about XG and the chances created. They were only able to make put 5 shots on target. So if you look at the numbers, you would think it'd be like a very tilted game towards Hartford, especially with the XGs and then the shots and the chances created. But it's something that Rising, and I see it right here on the comments, gritty win. And I think that's what we should leave it at, because they actually came back and they fought hard. And I think sometimes, and I think the ESPN commentators were saying sometimes that's the way that you have to play Rising. You kind of rock them off their chair a little bit, rock their confidence, but they come out and they're actually fighting back. And I wanted to ask you this. How did you feel about that midfield and that return of Kev Lambert? Of course, he had the goal here, but did you think that he brought that toughness that was needed in the middle that we haven't seen towards these parts of the season while he's in the back?
Look, I don't think he's necessarily had a bad game. I think that just kind of it wasn't necessarily everyone at 100%, right? Again, for a guy like Kev, it's his first game back from injury. It's rough. That's tough to deal with. And again, there's multiple of them who are just like that, who have got to ultimately produce something out there. And I don't know. I don't think his game was bad. I don't think it was his best at all. But and I mean,
No,
Pat's commenting that yes, this midfield does miss Aidan Quinn. I believe they're hoping to have him back in for next week. But
yeah, no, I think Lambert, like how Rick was saying in that clip, he was hoping he was hoping for 45 or praying for 60 or praying for a little bit more than that. So I think he got that. I think he did well for his return. And I just want to shout out to Kevin Lambert for getting called up to the Jamaican national team. That's a big honor in itself. I know there's been some contentious relationships between him and the Jamaican national team. So happy that he got the call up, and happy to see him perform at the international stage. So. A couple of comments.
I actually asked him about that. I asked him about what it was like, about personally for him to get the call up again. And he said it means everything to be called up again and wear those colors. So, yeah, what else means a lot to him?
His first goal back, or
it was that goal back in that goal. It was that goal that he got coming off of injury, and I did get to speak to him about that, and we have got video of that as well. So let's go ahead and see that.
I mean, it's a great feeling, honestly. I mean, I've worked hard. I've done treatment and everything for quite a time, so probably like over 3 weeks. And to be back in the first game after injury and work my way to this point, score a goal, feels really good,
That's awesome. You can't help but feel happy for him, especially going through that injury. And I was worried for a second there when he was out in England. I'm like, what's going on? He comes back and he scores. So yeah, shout out to him, and happy that he's getting rewarded for it.
Yeah. It's again, it's guys like Kev who've just been mainstays of this squad for years. I mean, Kev goes back to 2017, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It is 17, isn't it? So he's been around here for a long time, and he there's a reason that he's a fan favorite. And hopefully when he goes off to play for Jamaica, he goes off healthy, comes back healthy, because hey, these interruptions unfortunately do sometimes cause problems.
Yeah.
But still, it's a great opportunity for him again to try and work his way back into the fold there, because of course you've had other guys like Peter Lee Vassell came off the bench today. PLV's barely been playing anywhere for years. Like when he left Phoenix Rising, he just kind of dropped off the radar. He came obviously to Phoenix on loan from LAFC in 2019, and as soon as that happened, they dropped him. He was gone for a year from everything. Eventually got picked up by Indy and then played here as well, but not really been big. And he's been getting the opportunities Kev hasn't. It's just felt a bit weird.
Yeah. It felt like some extracurricular activities were happening there, where it wasn't necessarily what was on the field. So, but again, he's back on the sheet for the Jamaican national team, and so I'm assuming he'll be playing some Nations League games. So hopefully we're able to see him there. Owen, let's take a quick break and talk about our friends at OG's. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to stop by your local dispensary and grab some amazing scratch-made THC gummies from our friends at OG's. They have different flavors like blackberries and cream, and also watermelon and pineapple, which is my personal favorite. So OG's brands is perfect if you're in the mood for an uplifting sativa or a chill indica. And if you're interested in trying the amazingly delicious variety of flavors that OG's brands has to offer, go to ogsbrands.com. That's OGEEZbrands.com to find an OG's near you. Shout out to our friends at OG's. I do want to ask you here, because there was a couple of comments here about Babu Jai back in the lineup. I felt I got a couple of replies on Twitter asking about how I felt about his performance. I felt like offensively he was solid. He was going up the line, causing a little bit of havoc up there. But I think because he was caught out of position um, in his zone defensively, that's what led to the first goal for Hartford. So kind of like a give and take, with Babu. How did you feel about his performance?
I mean, it's the give and take is just his play, and it's the way that he features for this team, and partly that's by design.
Hmm.
He is going to go and be very aggressive. That's who he is. That's what Rising signed him to be. I think that overall, when you're thinking about it like that, you've got to. I mean, even in the first half, there were times where I think the positioning of that front three was a little bit weird. You'd have Santi would drift right the way over. I
Hmm.
remember that on a couple of occasions there. Santi drifted right the way over. And so you effectively had Marcus and Santi on one side when the ball would be there. And then you have Greg Hurst in the middle. But there's no one on the other side at all. So in that kind of case, he's got to push up a bit more. He's got to be someone to kind of be back there.
Yeah.
Because, if you put a cross across and it goes over the top, you've got nobody anywhere near it if
Hmm.
he stays back. I don't know. It's an interesting one because it's just again, it's that trade off, and it's everyone points to that and says, well, he's out of position, he's out of that. We can point at any fullback this club has had.
Yeah.
We can point to any fullback that this club has had, and I mean, even to Pat's point here, he's the most dangerous person on either wing tonight. I don't disagree with that necessarily at all. I think that I don't think it was Marcus's best game at all. I don't think it was Santi's best game at all.
Yeah.
I think that the bar there was low, and unfortunately, that's something then we can talk about when he gets caught out of position. But if he's having to make up in the attack for what were shortcomings elsewhere, then he's been kind of put in that position. It's
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. And like you're saying, that's how the tactic is. That's how the formation is. He has to push up and make sure to get into those spaces, especially when there's nobody there. So, speaking of Marcus Epps, I got really upset with him at the beginning of the game because there were a couple of clear chances where I either he felt like he had to take an extra touch, but I felt like it was, he's in the box, he receives a pass or a cross, and I feel like those kind of passes, those are one-time finishes. You just try to aim for the goal and see where it goes. But there are multiple times where Epps just kind of took the touch, defense was able to, to get back, and ultimately nothing came of it. So did you feel the same way when it comes to Marcus Epps? Like it's just a little bit more frustrating. It's like more of the same from Marcus Epps.
you know what I'm gonna say. I actually wonder a little bit how much we and the fans are the bad guy in this instance, because when he's doing that, just bear this in mind, that's confidence. Okay. Yeah. It's everything that we say about Greg and why Greg takes that chance on that he scored today, which is that he's confident because, he's been scoring goals and proving that he is the best striker on this team. Mm-hmm. And it's just the inverse of that. And so you're seeing that kind of indecisiveness that I think is almost coming out of just a little bit of worry. He knows that the performances haven't quite been there. And he's been getting it quite vocally about that. People aren't really happy with what they've seen from him. I still think it's too early to make comparisons like the slightly harsh, maybe, Billy Forbes Mark II. I think that's a bit harsh.
No, I wouldn't go that far at all. But
exactly.
And I know we talked about this numerous times, and I'll just end it on this note: is that we know he can do a lot better, and he has the ability to do so. And I think that's where the frustration comes from, not from the inability to do so. So,
yeah, I remember just to that point. I think it was one chance in particular, really, that he just left begging, and it was when Babukar took the shot from out wide.
Yeah,
the goalkeeper spills it. It comes back to him, doesn't it? And he does take that extra touch. Why? And it's got to be confidence. It's got to be confidence because, again, a confident guy, you just swing that leg and it's back of the net. And
exactly. And so, and to contrast that, talk about Greg Hurst, there's a scramble on the top of the box. As a striker, whatever chance you have to at least attempt it to put it in the goal. And so as soon as it came to him, I know it was Santi, King were fighting for that ball, and out of that scramble, it just landed on Greg. He said 1-2 flick, and boom, back of the net. I think the Hartford keeper could have done a lot better, but he didn't expect the speed of the strike and also that it was coming from that angle. And so that's the exactly what we're talking about, the confidence and the ability to, you kind of have to be a little bit crazy to say, you know what, let me just try it, and then some of the time it's going to work. And I think that's the sign of a striker that's informed.
But it's just a great goal. It's just a great goal all around.
Yeah.
And again, all it does is just continue to underscore what we've been saying effectively since the start of all of this, which is that he is the best striker on this team. He should be starting these games because he's very capable of doing so and doing well at it. So I don't know. I'm just excited. I think that he's really handled the step up from the championship, League One. Sorry, well,
Yeah.
the step up to the championship, and I just really am happy with him in that sense.
Yeah, no, of course. Albert, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, we'll see you soon. Pat, send some love for Lunt too. Yeah, I think honestly, I think Rising don't come out of Hartford with 3 points if it wasn't for Ben Lunt. He had some crazy saves in the second half, especially, and maybe some of the back line for Rising getting out of position and him having to cover for them. And there was one in particular, I think it was off a free kick where it was just a quick header and he just reacted right away to it to get rid of it. So yeah, Ben Lunt with my stats only say 3 saves, but I'm sure he had a few more. But yeah, what did you think of Ben Lunt's performance?
I think there were still a couple of those saves in there, which just shows why he was a goalkeeper of the year in the past.
Hmm.
And like he's just something else, isn't he? At times, like he really, really is. And I know people are saying, oh, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard when he's just left on an island out there. At times, it feels like when he's having to make all of these saves to keep the team in games. But look, is there anyone you'd rather have out there doing that?
No.
Because we know that he can do it every single time. And I think to Pat's point here, he's rising even above the playoff line without Lunt's play this year. Probably not, actually, to be fair, just because he is that much better just than most keepers in this league. I think that,
Hmm.
yeah,
And
it's
and his saves
phenomenal.
actually, can like the one example I can think of right away is the San Antonio game where he made save after save after save, and he kept rising in the game even though San Antonio kept knocking at the door. And long term, it's probably not sustainable, but the fact that he continues to do it just adds to the amount of uh, you know thankfulness I guess the team has to have for him being in goal, because without him, yeah, like Pat's saying, they're probably not in the playoff picture at this time. So
Mhm.
um I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but Arturo Rodriguez, he went out injured. It was it a toe or foot injury? I couldn't quite tell during the broadcast, but any updates on him?
Again, no, it's just waiting on updates there. Rick didn't know how long he'll be out for, but the
Hmm.
implication is that he will be out for a little bit of time, but we don't know how long for. I mean, that one worried me a bit when we saw it. Actually, something we haven't talked about. Sorry, it's only just occurred to me that I've not brought this up. What did you think about Sievert when he came on? Because to me, it looked more like he wasn't really playing as a centre back, was he?
Yeah, that's what I was assuming when Lambert came on and then Repetto came on. I think they both came in together. And I didn't see the back line go to a back line of 3 or a 5, which is what I was expecting. And he was playing a little bit more forward. So he's played that position in college. I'm assuming he's still comfortable with it. So maybe it's just Rick and his staff just saying, you know what, let's just give it a go today, see how he performs. And I didn't see something a lot of, I guess, for me to say anything about it, a lot of action with him on the ball at least. So my feelings about it are still a little bit mixed. So if they continue to play him, we'll see how he performs. But I really was expecting kind of like a back line of 5, just kind of park the bus a little bit. But he was playing a little bit more forward. So we'll see if it continues to do
Mhm.
that.
Indeed. But yeah, it was. Look, overall, it was just a nice, hard fought game in that sense. Both physically and the fact that this was a tight game where Rising didn't look at their best and still get the result. But
Yeah, no, and I think we haven't even talked about James Musa, but he did
we
return to the
haven't talked
lineup.
about James Musa.
But yeah, he did return to the lineup. I feel more confident with Musa in the lineup than anybody else. If he's in the lineup, especially in the back line, it's to me, Rising just seem like more cohesive. They know what to do with the ball defensively. They keep their shape a lot better. So I'm really glad that he's back on the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason again that he was the starting centre back going into this year. He's just that bit more mobile than some of the other guys like Manuel and others. But I feel like he's good on the ball. He's got the ball skills of a guy who did play in defensive midfield because he played in defensive midfield.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, just the way we've seen him adjust to that centre back position since he came back to Rising for the second time is interesting to watch because again, last year Rick was claiming at certain points that this is someone who was possibly the best centre back on his side of USL.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big presence back there, as Corey's saying, and even just some of it is, even a little bit of motivation of seeing some of those starters come back. I feel does help a little bit more. It's especially when you're struggling, and get a big addition back
Mm-hmm.
that you've been missing. It can be a big confidence boost for you.
Yeah, definitely. Before we wrap up today's post-game show, Owen, I do want to tell everybody about DraftKings. If you guys haven't already, make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Golden State Warriors, they get through the Western Conference. To be honest with y'all, I haven't really watched too much basketball since the Suns were eliminated, but there is a Game 7 on the Eastern Conference side between Miami Heat and Boston Celtics. So if you guys are wanting to get into the action and you're a new customer, you can bet $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. And you can do so by doing with DraftKings by doing same game parlays. And so if you guys combine multiple bets, all customers can place a same game parlay with 3 or more legs and get a free bet back up to $25 if one leg doesn't hit, which is a really great offer. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PHNX. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You do have to be 21 and over to gamble. Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details.
Yeah, on the one hand, I'm happy to see the back of Luka Doncic. On the other hand, it's it kind of makes you look at it and think, what on earth were the Suns doing to lose to these guys?
Yeah, it's just
what.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, let's say the Suns would have beat. I know we're veering off the Rising topic, but if the Suns would have beat Dallas, I don't think they would have done any better against the Warriors, just the way that they're playing. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been very hard for me to watch basketball after that debacle. Owen, final thoughts here on tonight's victory.
Oh, let's see. Get some other things in here. So Greg looks to be all right, by the way. I know there was some concern over some of the challenges.
Yeah, he got knocked down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did, and some of them were pretty hard challenges. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. You get the little laugh and the joke afterwards about this guy's a professional. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, he's gonna chew a little bit of time by getting up slowly. I think that beyond that, what else would I take away from today? I mean, we didn't really get onto the Eps and the Moa bit as to, I know a question we've always asked before, which is, how long do you stick with this without having to change things a bit? And the answer to that is, I just feel like at the end of this couple of home games, maybe, is the point whereby they've had a fair few games together and probably should get something.
Yeah, get it going.
Anything else? Corey Herzog. Oh, do we need to talk about Corey Herzog? I know someone wanted to talk about Corey Herzog earlier. How do we feel about Corey Herzog, Ramon?
If I'm sticking to what I saw on the field, he was very dangerous in his throw-ins.
Oh, no, come on. Bring out the other stuff. Well, how do you feel about Corey Herzog? Tell me how you really feel about Corey.
Honestly, I don't know a lot about him, so I'm not going to go too much in detail. I know you and some people in the chat really do, but yeah, maybe I'll agree with what Corey says there. But as far as what's on the field, his throw-ins were dangerous. That's what I'm going to stick with.
Yeah, Corey C there in the chat saying that he's a clown, which I don't necessarily disagree with based on his antics on the field sometimes. Apparently a very nice guy off the field, funnily. A very nice guy off the field, apparently. But on the field, he enjoys to stoke things up a little bit. But hey, what do you know? It's another game that he's faced Rising and lost. So
there you go.
Mm.
Looking ahead, Phoenix Rising will host Birmingham Legion next week, June 4th. And then after that, another game at home against El Paso. Then traveling to Loudoun, doing an East Coast again, and then at Las Vegas Lights. So honestly, Owen, I feel like this 4 game stretch are all winnable games. I think Rising should come away with 12 points during these 4 games. It's
12 points out of 4 games. You seriously now? You're going to say that?
I mean, based on what I'm seeing on the field with the teams and how they've been performing, I feel like they can and they have the ability to. I won't say should, but yeah, I think if they walk away with 12 points, it'd be really nice.
You actually think they've got any? I just don't. I think that it's hard to walk away with 12 points out of 12, regardless.
They
I
can
mean,
do it.
I don't think the Birmingham. Look, right.
You got 2 home games.
I went and saw Birmingham Legion play last night, and
Yeah.
they had a poor first half, but I think second half they stepped it up a bit. I don't think they're
Mhm.
mugs. I don't
Yeah.
think that El Paso are mugs. I know they're home games, but 12 points on Ramon OG's episode. Look what you. There we go, Pat. Pat's
Oh
joining
my
in the
God,
fun. We're
Pat, what are
signing
you
Ramon
doing to
up for
me?
the- I
Come
think
on.
arguably, I think that Ramon does need to do an OG's episode, but hey,
I
is
mean, you
that
get
my
the
call to make?
they get these 12 points. I might just do it, Pat. We'll see. We'll see. But all I'm saying is, look, they
If
got
they
two.
get 12 points,
There you go. They got 2 home games. I definitely feel like they can beat someone like El Paso. Birmingham Legion, middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. You have a little bit more intel on them, but based on what I've seen, definitely a winnable game, especially at home. Then a visit to Loudoun. I believe they tied today against Charleston, and then Las Vegas Lights, which is I'm pretty sure is going to be a game that the team has circled. So I definitely feel like they could get 12. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
what you think they're going to win up on the park surface that is Cashman Field? I mean,
Your favorite
they might
field.
bring you in for that, Ramon. They might bring you in for that one,
I'm
Ramon,
ready to
because we know
go.
that you
Bum
enjoy
me at
playing
all.
at
I can do
Benedict.
it.
You enjoy playing at Benedict,
I do
so I
not.
mean,
My knees do not enjoy that. They like Park 96 over there in Scottsdale. So, uh, but yeah, awesome stuff tonight. Owen, appreciate it. I do want to shout out the chat here. Thank you so much for joining us, Corey, Pat. Always making it a fun time here. I think we lost Tyler. Albert, but yeah, I know. Well, Tyler's been here since the beginning, since we made the chat. But Devin, everybody else, thank you. I think I saw Bonnie in here. Thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate you joining us here on the PHNX Rising shows and the post game show. So always appreciate that. Owen, we will be back on Tuesday. And we'll be talking a little bit more about what happened tonight and looking forward to what's happening next week and a little bit around the USL. And I do want to shout out Real Madrid. They got the W today, got the championship. So shout out to all the Real
the
Madrid
poor old
fans.
Scousers lost, did they? The Scousers lost. Oh.
Yeah.
Here we go. I mean, I don't think Devin will be saying "great show" anymore if we keep talking about the Champions League final. There we go. He's already started
I
booing in
know.
the chat.
Sorry, Devin. I know it's late out there where you're at. Sorry about that. All right, y'all. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the PHNX YouTube channel. It really helps us grow. And we do. Oh, before we wrap it up, yeah, totally forgot about this. Our king of the game, Kevon Lambert, 73 minutes today, 1 goal, 32 out of 39 passes, and 3 interceptions. Our DraftKings king of the game. Thank you, Shane, for catching that.
Yeah, we can't forget about that. I mean, we were talking about him earlier. We probably should have posted it
I know. We
out
should have
then.
put it in there.
Yeah,
That's
he
my
had a
fault.
good game. You look at those numbers, and I think I played down a little bit how well he played. You look at those numbers, and you realize that was a very big role. He had that presence in there, but I just feel like there's another level he can take it to, and he knows he's capable of that, and I think that he will get there. It's just baby steps, because they didn't expect him to go the full length today because.
Even he said it's like, look, I got 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Musa was expected to go 45 minutes as well. Yeah, they just keep pushing him a little bit, pushing him, and they get to these points. But I think that give him a couple of weeks, see him back to. I mean, you do have the international duty as well, which kind of maybe breaks up the rhythm a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. I think he's definitely on the right path.
Yeah, no, he definitely had a great game. All right, y'all, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. If you haven't yet, make sure to follow us on Twitter at PHNX__rising.
It's double the underscores, double the fun.
That is right. Help us to get to 750. I'll throw in a gift from me to you, so help us to get there as far as followers. And until
the
next
gift
time.
is The gift is an OG's episode.
No, it's not. It is not that. That's
It's
not. That's not a
definitely an OG's
gift.
episode.
It's a gift to you, but it's not a gift. No, no.
It's a gift to
Uh,
everyone who's watching this.
Jesus, see what you started, Pat. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. Owen, get home safe. Have a safe flight. We'll see you back here on Tuesday, and thank you everybody for joining us in. And we'll see you next time. Take care.